In a valley cradled by rolling hills and kissed by the morning sun, lay the village of Honeycomb. It wasn't a rich village, but it was rich in community, laughter, and the sweetest sugarcane that grew anywhere 4 miles around. And in Honeycomb lived a girl known simply as Sugar Girl. Her real name was Clara, but from the moment she was old enough to toddle, she'd been drawn to the sugarcane fields like a bee to nectar. Her hair, the color of spun caramel, was often dusted with the fine, sweet powder that clung to the stalks. After harvest, her eyes, warm and brown, sparkled with an almost tangible sweetness themselves. Please like, share, and subscribe. Sugar Girl wasn't like the other children, who often complained about the sticky residue or the long hours of harvest. For her, cutting cane was a dance. She'd hum old village tunes, her small hands moving with surprising speed and precision. She knew each stalk, could tell by its heft and the whisper of its leaves exactly how sweet it would be. When the village elders made their annual batch of molasses, Clara's suggestions on which cane to use were always taken seriously, and their molasses was renowned far and wide. But Sugar Girl's sweetness wasn't just in her name or her love for cane. It was in her spirit. She was the first to offer help, whether it was fetching water for an elderly neighbor or mending a torn fishing net. When arguments flared in the village square, a quiet word from Sugar Girl, often accompanied by a small, shy smile, could somehow soothe ruffled feathers faster than any shouting match. She had a way of seeing the good in everyone, even when they struggled to see it themselves. One year, a great drought settled over Honeycomb. The sun beat down relentlessly, and the sugarcane began to wither. Despair hung heavy in the air, thicker than any summer dust. The usual lively chatter in the fields was replaced by anxious silence. The village chief, a stern but fair man named Elder Thorn, called a meeting. Ideas were scarce, hope even scarcer. Suddenly, Sugar Girl, usually so quiet in large gatherings, spoke up. "The old spring," she said, her voice small but clear, "the one by the whispering pines. My grandmother used to say it never ran dry, even in the driest years. But it's overgrown now." Elder Thorn looked doubtful. The spring was far, and the path treacherous. But seeing the unwavering belief in Sugar Girl's eyes, and knowing her uncanny intuition when it came to the land, he agreed to send a small group to investigate. Sugar Girl led the way, her small frame navigating the thorny path with surprising determination. Hours later, sweat-soaked and weary, they found it. A trickle, barely more than a damp patch, hidden beneath years of tangled vines. It was hardly the gushing river they needed, but it was water. With renewed hope, the villagers routed. They cleared the path, dug trenches, and slowly, painstakingly, coaxed the water from the old spring to the parched fields. It wasn't enough to save the entire crop, but it was enough to keep the heart of Honeycomb beating. Enough for a small harvest of sugarcane. Enough to make a modest batch of molasses that year. A batch that tasted sweeter than any before, perhaps because it was steeped in hope and resilience. From that day on, Sugar Girl wasn't just a girl who loved sugarcane. She was the embodiment of Honeycomb's spirit, sweet, resilient, and always finding a way to bring light, even in the darkest of times. And the villagers knew, as long as Sugar Girl was in Honeycomb, there would always be a little bit of sweetness, no matter what challenges came their way.